Good evening. Welcome to the Alan Osborne Show. It's been a while, but after watching today's Board of County Commissioner meetings, fellas, we're going to have a talk. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all aren't thinking very clearly. Look, I'm going to start off with today's issue, the 26th October meeting of the BCC. And you go watch it yourself on the go. I was watching it. I was going to call in on Zoom, but I didn't feel like listening to Trey laugh at everybody's response, so I didn't. Anyway, you know, what a mess we have here. But I'll get to the bottom line. Listen, we're going to talk about the $18 million debacle and how to save probably at least $10, $12 million of TDC reserve funds. And this isn't all my idea. I have my own idea what I'd like to say today, but some people hit on some parts of it, so I'm going to give them credit. Credit to Naismith. She stood up there and brought up the elephant in the room. We're not worried about you buying the property. We're worried about the corruption that came with it. So good on her. Good on Jim Bagby. It made some good points on eminent domain, and that's where I'm gonna go with this. And Chaz Galloway got up and started talking about the buildable amount of property, but let's get on to this. So this guy, Peter, not Peter Griffin, but Peter, owns this piece of property. If you're not aware of it, it's been in the front page of the paper. Wants $18 million for it. But here's what's really not being said. We all agree that this piece of property is critical. It is. It affects the coastal dune lake. I don't think anybody in there said it doesn't. We all agree it's important and it has value. And we agree that the public should have access to it. But here's the thing that Tony Anderson knew and the rest of them didn't want to talk about. I don't think this guy gave about $900,000 for this property. And it doesn't really matter what he gave for it. But I think it was less than $1 million, and it includes a lot. But Mr. Anderson said the key issue is this, and even the people, Mr. Kellenberger, I believe, or somebody said, the owner of this lot has obtained permits before, but he couldn't obtain the permits that he wanted. He could only obtain one for a big ass house, okay? So let's roll back a couple years ago when this property was still wanted. Tony Anderson said the county paid for an appraisal, and lo and behold, the county attorney, Clay, admitted that the thing's only appraising about $3 million. Well, that includes the buildable lot. Well, we don't need to buy the buildable lot because we're going to end up paying $10 million for a few more parking places and a bathroom. But probably 88% of this lot is unbuildable, and everybody admitted it. And some people who live out there testified that in any storm, it's underwater. So what is the owner going to do with it? Spend 30 years of trying to keep people off his beach? It'll be a nuisance to him to even deal with it. And it has a forever view. Look, we don't need Mr. Peters' permission to get this lot because the part that the county needs is unbuildable. If the whole lot's only bringing 3.2 million, surely the unbuildable part of it couldn't be worth more than $1.5 million, because he can still build a $10 million house on what's left. So Jim Bagby hit the head on the nail. This property is subject for eminent domain. So why are the insiders from the county trying to make this seem like we'll ask 18 million and the underlying thing today is maybe we can get it down to 10? Well, look, if its property value on the property assessors is 3.2 million, but here's what we need to do. As Bagby said and brought up, eminent domain law, to take this property for the good of the citizens. We already know the private people can't build anything on it. So for the good of the coastal dune lakes and for all the reasons that the people gave in the hearing today, there's good reason to buy this, but we shouldn't be paying for the nose. We just go get an estimate, an appraisable on the unbuildable part of this parcel and let the man keep enough to build a big mega house over there. Those people don't want all that traffic. There was some rich elitist talking about her red flashlights. I wanted to puke. She's not the people we're trying to help in this county that can afford a beach house to look at turtles. Jesus Christ. I mean, really, this probably is for the good of everybody, but it's not for the good of us to break the TDC reserves and overpay through the nose because certain people are behind this. The eminent domain law is on the people's side. We go get an appraisal for the parts of the lot that we want to put eminent domain on, and they go get an appraisal. And we take the average of the two, and it's 130%, and it's ours. And I bet you we'll spend less than $2.5 million because there's nothing they can do with that property except look at it if they build a big house on it. So Mr. Peter Russell, I think that's his name. Of course, he didn't talk. He had shithead is what I call him, up there talking. I'll go into that. He had a lawyer up there talking. He had Clay up there talking. He had all the commissioners trying to take their angle on it. And Tony sitting there looking disgusted, knowing what the appraisal had been before. But we don't need any part of that property except the unbuildable part. So if we want to save $10 million, and you like common sense on the Alan Osborne show, and you're not into giving your money to some insiders because they made it appear like you have to, listen, we can stop all this right now with eminent domain. The commissioners have sent a letter to Mr. Russell that they intend to take this property through eminent domain and let it go. It'll be way cheaper in the end, way better for the taxpayer, and Mr. Peter will not lose, because no matter what, he's probably going to have triple what he gave for the lot out of it. And he's still going to be left with a buildable beachfront lot with forever views of a coastal dune lake. It's a win-win for everybody. Let him go find somebody that wants a $10, $15 million house to buy the buildable part. But we don't want that. We don't need a $15 million parking place and some bathrooms. We've got all this other land we could spend our TDC reserves on. And this is asinine how they're going about it. They also slipped in, there's an RFP out there for a property purchaser for Walton County, i.e. a realtor. If you don't know that's going on and you're a realtor that thinks you have a shot at that, apply for it, because they've got somebody picked, and I won't say who it is, but I've got it written down here. So we all agree, commissioners, we all know this property needs to be bought, but why pay through the nose? Why let Shipman get his way? And why is Mr. Shipman standing up almost at every meeting under something, under citizen request? My God, he's replaced Dana Matthews and George Ralph Miller as the regular people up there standing around pontificating. Anyway, we don't need that. So you want to save $10, $15 million of your funds to develop all the other land we've purchased? Then just tell your commissioners, let's go get an appraisal on the unbuildable portions of this tract and go at it with eminent domain, and let's save the people a fortune. Bagby nailed it on the head. Naismith hinted about the corruption behind it. And Galloway said, we only need the unbuildable part because we can already go across that. We can manage the whole outfall any way we want if we buy 85% of that property, which is unbuildable. But that's a common sense approach on the Alan Osborne show, and we don't do that in U.S. government. And we silence people, right? We're having limited free speech as the movement. These are our tax dollars. Y'all owe us better answers. And let's go back to something, BCC. Have we quietly forgotten that Mr. Potato Chip Bowhead up there was hired as an intern when Sidney resigned? But he quietly sat up there, and how much have y'all paid him while you want? And guess what? This intern county attorney, there's no telling what we paid him this year. He may be drawing money as the TDC attorney too, but also we've hired several attorneys. And our intern, our non-county employee attorney, I believe has helped select these young attorneys. So guess what? When he leaves that job, if he ever does, he'll be working with the people that he picked in the county office, as he represents the Funiac and he represents Freeport. This is the biggest bunch of bullshit, this intern county appointment. No, he's not. Let me tell you, Clay is shoved so far up Boots McCormick's ass, it's not even funny. Trey too. And the rest of them are scared to death of him. And so here we are still with all these unanswered questions. And here's Larry running with scissors, telling us he has the authority to take an $18 million contract. Why didn't this dumbass know about eminent domain? He was a commissioner forever. It's probably the same way that Dee Dee's now the assistant administrator. She understands she's making $170,000 a year. Before Larry was the administrator, she was the old administrator's administrative secretary, basically, administrative assistant. I don't think she has a degree in the world. Only in Walton County can Larry break policy. Can we have all these unanswered questions? We never had an audit of the planning department. And lo and behold, what did Gary Madison do? We hired that joker for $75,000 a year. What does the BCC have him doing? He doesn't answer to anybody but them. What does he do? These are questions we can't answer on the Alan Osborne show. And if you can't answer them either, you should ask yourself, what the hell's going on out there in America? But it starts right here in your backyard. That's how to save 10 or $15 million. We shouldn't be paying no $18 million for this crap. And we don't care what Gary Shipman says it's worth. The tax records for 2021 said it was worth $3.2 million, I believe, or 0.1. I think Tony Anderson said they had an appraisal for 3.2 a couple of years ago. So that all checks out. If that's true and we leave the buildable lot, we shouldn't pay about $1.5 million for it. But like I said, that would take some common sense and using the law to help the citizens instead of line the pockets of the connected. But we don't do that here in Walton County. We just say we're doing the right thing, but then we do what we want in the back room. And that's how politicians go in Walton County. And that's the way it was. At the 26th October BCC meeting, the public bent over and grabbed their shorts in the name, and grabbed their cheeks really and spread them, or they're about to be spread in the name of doing something good. Look, folks, we can do something good and still save a lot of money. Y'all keep them straight on the Alan Osborne show. You hear?